Hi friends, it's Philms and welcome to my Army Bomb customization video. So I'm super excited to bring you this video today because it's something I've been meaning to do for a really freaking long time, and that is customizing my Army Bomb. Now I don't have anything against the design of the Army Bomb, I just don't think it's the prettiest light stick out there. And some of you may agree with me on that, some of you might not, but my point still stands that in my eyes, the Army Bomb is not the most aesthetically pleasing light stick that is, to be in all of K-pop. So I decided to customize my Army Bomb. Now there's quite a lot of ways you can customize an Army Bomb. I think painting it is beautiful, I think adding flowers to it is beautiful, but for me, my style, I really like bedazzling the best, and also because I think it's the easiest too. So I decided to customize my Army Bomb. Little did I know it would take literally so freaking long, but it's okay. Hard work and perseverance allowed me to push through and finish it up a little bit. So here's my video showcasing to you my Army Bomb customization. Now just a disclaimer here, this isn't a full-fledged tutorial because when I filmed this, I didn't mean for it to be a tutorial, but I did want to share a couple tips with you along the way. So take my tips, with a grain of salt. If you think this one method might be better or not, you can follow it your own way or leave me a comment down below. But again, this is just what I did and my tips for how to customize your own Army Bomb, but you don't have to follow it. I'll definitely leave a couple links down below of the videos I used for reference while, studying up on this Army Bomb customization culture. But again, disclaimer here, this is not a full tutorial, but if you do follow along, please let me know how it goes, and I would love to hear how it went any better or any worse for you, because this is a huge endeavor, guys. It's not like, you can sit on this and do it in one day. This is like a couple days worth, and you'll probably have a bad back after finishing this up, but the results are so good, and I'm so excited to use this when we go back on tour again. I don't know when that is. I'm hoping it's like 2022 or 2023, but the more I talk about it, the more upset I get because I really want to use this for my sound check seats, but it's okay, it's whatever, at least we're all in this together, right? So without further ado, here is my Army Bomb customization video. Thank you in advance so much for watching, and I'll see you in the outro. Before we get into the rest of this video, I just wanted to list some supplies and materials for those who wanted to follow along this Army Bomb bedazzling project. Obviously, you'll need the Army Bomb light stick, but honestly, I'm pretty sure any light stick would work. You'll also need painter's tape, acetone, gems, rhinestones, crystals, whatever you'd like to call them, acrylic paint in white and whatever color your gems are, a paintbrush, E6000 glue or tacky glue, and these two things are optional, but if you'd like to add a little flair to your Army Bomb, you can also get matching ribbon and a light stick sticker with your bias name or your group name on it. Some other optional things you might need but will probably help you a lot is a wax pencil or anything that can pick up crystals really easily. You'll also need a toothpick and some Mod Podge. Last but not least, you'll need a lot of patience and dedication to finish this bedazzling project. So let's get on to it. Let's get to bedazzling our Army Bomb. The first thing you want to do when decorating your Army Bomb is to first take off any lanyards and also take off the sticker, which may be kind of hard to peel. You can see here I'm struggling a little bit with it, but for the most part it came out in one piece. You can use acetone to get rid of the sticker residue. Here I'm just dipping a piece of tissue paper into the acetone and it rubs right off. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to tape our Army Bomb. Here you can see me use washi tape, but I would highly recommend painter's tape. I used washi tape at first because I thought it'd be easier to take off at the end, but honestly it's the same thing, so might as well use painter's tape while you're at it. And you're going to make sure to be really careful during this step because you really want to tape it up real nicely so that no paint spills over onto the white of the Army Bomb. Here you can see me try to use a seam ripper to cut off the excess, but honestly that was kind of stupid of me because it creates a small divot in between the white part of the army bomb and the black part where we want to paint, so don't do what I did. Again, this is mistake 1 out of 2, actually out of many in this video, so warning, do not use a seam ripper like I did in this video. Just try your best to tape it up exactly the way the outline is before so that you don't have to go through this step. It's painting time, more specifically priming time. We're going to use some white paint to act as a primer so that later when we use a lighter color, like for me, I'm going to use a lighter pink, it'll go on much easier. This is the point of no return. This is the point where you cannot go back, so make sure you commit to it. Make sure you get all the nooks and crannies in the army bomb. This is also why the first step of taping is so incredibly important, because if you didn't tape it up right, then parts of your army bomb will get painted that you don't want to get painted. One pro tip I would give from doing this project myself is to make sure you paint in uniform strokes, so only paint in up and down strokes. You can see here, sometimes I alternate between up and down and left and right, and I think that just messes up the layer of paint underneath, because ultimately you're going to layer a lot of paint on top of each other, and you do want to make sure each layer is as smooth as possible so that later on the rhinestones also go on nicely. So you can see me here painting the majority of the army bomb in up and down strokes, but occasionally for the bottom part I did switch between left and right, so I would recommend not doing that, just paint up and down strokes. This is only the first layer of primer, so it is perfectly normal and expected to not have full coverage yet. You're going to see some black showing through still, and we're going to fix that by putting on more layers of primer. I think I put on 2 layers before I actually put on my actual paint, but if you find that your white paint isn't opaque enough, you can use more layers. To get in all the nooks and crannies, I also use a small paintbrush, especially around the button area. This is my second layer of primer going on here, and this is where the black actually starts to disappear and it actually starts to look kind of white. And some videos I've seen have people sanding down the army bomb with a little bit of sandpaper to make sure that the coat of primer goes on more nicely, but honestly I didn't do that and it went on fine for me. Now, if you taped up your army bomb safely and carefully in the first step, and you actually were super careful while painting, you wouldn't have this problem. But if you are a fool like me and didn't tape up your army bomb carefully, and you didn't paint carefully, you would end up with a little paint on the white part of the army bomb, which we don't want. So again, as a warning to you guys from someone who's done this and someone who is really messy and clumsy and not as cognizant, even though you taped up your army bomb super nicely, just be careful of the paint. Don't go crazy with it like I did. I was a little bit sloppy with my work, and some of the paint actually went above the tape part, so I actually painted the white of my army bomb, which is so incredibly stupid of me, which is why I'm warning you all now. Just make sure you are very careful when you paint. You can see here I am literally painting so chaotically because I was like, oh, it's just white, like it's fine. But no, please be careful of where you're painting and where you taped up your army bomb, because this foreshadows another mistake that I made. It's at this point that I realized I got some white paint on the light part of the army bomb that we didn't want to get painted, like I warned before. So I foolishly dipped a piece of tissue paper into acetone and tried to wipe off the paint. And although it did wipe off the paint, under no circumstances should you do this. If you taped your army bomb correctly and you painted not like a fool like me, you should be totally fine. But this is just as a warning to other people to just be careful and tape and paint correctly, because I did not, and the acetone actually rubbed off the like grayish non-clear part of the plastic of the light. So just don't do it. I'll show you the damage that it's done, and it's absolutely awful. So please just don't do it. Just be careful. Just tape your army bomb correctly. You can tape up the whole light part if you need to, but under no circumstances should you paint so chaotically like me, and just be careful not to get paint on the light part, because this will happen to your army bomb, and it looks so bad, and my army bomb is slightly ruined forever, and so I don't know what to do with myself, but it's okay, we're just gonna ignore it for the rest of the video. It's fine, it's okay, it's fine. Just as a warning though, this will happen to your army bomb if you're not careful enough. After the primer layer has been completely dried, we're going to start mixing up the paint color that's going to go on the base of our army bomb. So I started off with a lot of white and only mixed in a little bit of light pink. And here I have my gems or rhinestones, whatever you call them, right next to me so that I could match the color perfectly to the color of the gem. Once you're satisfied with your color match, you can start painting on top of the white primer layer that we've put down on the army bomb. Again, making sure that you're painting in uniform directions, so either up or down or left or right, but not both, and try to make sure that the paint is as smooth as possible. You may also find that you need 2 layers of paint, but with the 2 layers of primer that I put on earlier, I found that I only needed 1 layer. After the last layer of paint dried, I took off the tape from earlier, and the seam ripper that we used from earlier is also making a comeback because I used that to take off the tape that I had put on the BTS and Army logo on the bottom of the light stick. If you're using an X-Acto knife or something that is also sharp like a seam ripper, just be careful if you wanted to keep the gray of the logo because the sharp edge might rub it off. But since I'm also planning on bedazzling this logo, it didn't really matter to me because it was getting covered up anyways. Now that we got our army bomb fully painted, we're gonna whip out the crystals, diamonds, rhinestones, gems, whatever you call them, and our E6000, and we're going to start the long, arduous, and tedious process of bedazzling our army bomb. Now my method for this may not be the best, but I found that it was what worked best for me. So I got a plastic plate and I squeezed some E6000, some tacky glue or whatever glue I could find onto the plate and used a small paintbrush to paint on a small section of glue where I wanted to bedazzle. And then I used a pencil that I dipped in wax because I'm way too cheap to get an actual wax pencil thing, which you can find online for not that much, but it took a long time to get to me and I was very impatient. So life hack, you can use a pencil, light a candle, and dip it in some wax multiple times so that it can easily grab onto the gems. As for the positioning of the gems, at the top of the army bomb in the circular region here, I started off with the small circle around the red light, and then after that I did each gem slightly out of alignment, just because if you put every gem in a singular straight row, there's going to be a lot of gaps in between, and so you want to do it slightly out of alignment so that there is a minimization of gaps and so that you don't see the paint underneath. After finishing the top part of the army bomb, I decided to take a break until the next morning and start up again. And so I started with a straight line since I thought that would be the easiest, but honestly you can start wherever. You can start from the very top or the very bottom. It's up to you. I just found that following the straight line of the army bomb was the easiest. Once I had established an initial straight line, I continued on with my previous method of putting each gem slightly out of alignment and made my way to the top of the army bomb. At the beginning of this video, I said that this process is very long and tedious, but please do not underestimate how long and tedious this actually was. I think this was around 8 hours of work or so, maybe even more, because when I started this project, I started on episode 1, season 1 of Legend of Korra, and I finished the entire show by the time I finished bedazzling this army bomb. So just don't underestimate how long this project actually is. That being said, you can cut down some time on this project by buying larger gems to fill up a larger surface area. Personally though, I like the look of smaller gems in bedazzled army bombs. If you're not sure what kind of style you like, you can look on Pinterest or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube videos to see which gem style suits you the best. For my army bomb, I bought crystal sizes that were SS6, which basically means 2mm, but the higher you go, like SS7, 8, 9, etc., the larger they get. I got my gems from AliExpress for super cheap. They sell them in packs of 1,440, so basically 1,500 pieces, and it's only like $3, sometimes even less than $3. I know sometimes people like to use a specific brand of crystals to bedazzle their army bomb, but honestly for me, it doesn't matter as long as it looks shiny, and I wasn't going to invest tons of money in this anyways, so I would highly suggest buying from places like AliExpress as compared to your local craft craft store like Michael's or whatever, because they might not have the size that you want, and also they might not have the color that you want. But I'll leave a link for my specific gems down in the description below, but that link also has a bunch of other colors as well. So if you're interested, you should definitely check it out. I've seen people buy two-toned crystals, which means that in one angle they look like one color, and then if you look at it from a different perspective, it looks like a different color. So don't be afraid to experiment with those. And I've also seen people create patterns out of the crystals, so like one side was pink and the other side was blue, or they did it in stripes or whatever, checkerboard. So don't be afraid to experiment and explore. Honestly, the Army Bomb is what you make it. It's, you know, your personal light stick, so you can make it to your own aesthetic. But for me, I'm boring and I like things in uniform colors, so I just picked this singular pink. Before starting this project, I really didn't know how many gems to buy because I couldn't guesstimate. I've never done anything like this before, so I just bought 3 packs just in case, and that totaled out to less than $10. But if you're using gems that are smaller than mine, which I wouldn't recommend because 2mm is already sort of small, getting even smaller might be even more difficult, but obviously if you do go smaller, you need to buy more packs. But for me, I bought 3 packs and that was enough. But if you're a little bit paranoid, you can also buy like 4 or 5. I really don't think you'll be needing that much, but since AliExpress takes so long to order from and to receive the package, it's better just to order more than necessary, just because if you do run out while you're bedazzling, it could be another month or 2 until you get to this project again, just because of how long the shipping time takes. Here you can see me gluing gems to the top lip of the Army Bomb. That's because I wanted this border to be super straight. So I did the top lip first and then started filling in gems from the top down. I know I sort of started with a method at first by starting in straight lines, but after this part I sort of started going all over the place just because I had already established the straight line that I needed from the top lip, and so after that I just filled up from the top down and just wherever necessary. At this point, I was just about filling in space. There was really no like cohesive straight line because again, I wanted that out of alignment sort of look. While bedazzling my Army Bomb, I actually fell into this sort of trance, and you fall into this sort of rhythm. So if you like listening to music or listening to a podcast or watching a TV show, whatever you need to do to get into the swing of things, once you actually start going, it is actually very easy to keep going and sort of get lost in it. I left the button part pretty much untouched by the gems just because I like the look of the paint color showing through, but it actually might be useful for you to get some Mod Podge and paint over it just so that the paint doesn't chip off later. On the other hand, you can also find a gem that is the same size or around the same size as the button and attach it to that as well. Again, you can be as creative as you want with it. But right now, just look at how satisfying this is. Like, wow, that looks freaking gorgeous. It was so nice to finish the main part of the Army Bomb. So now let's move on to the bottom part. So initially I just filled out the bottom part of the Army Bomb to establish a straight line, and then I actually got some slightly larger 3mm white gems to fill in the BTS logo and the Army logo, just because I thought it would be a nice accent color and to draw attention to it as well. I also wanted to mention that I'm including a row of smaller pink gems in between the 2 panels of the BTS and the Army logo here. Once I had established the BTS and the Army logo, I pretty much just filled in the space after that, but as a pro tip, I would highly recommend lining the upper lip of this bottom part of the Army Bomb as well to establish a straight edge. This way, when the larger piece and the smaller piece connect together and twist together, there will be less gaps in between that, little opening. Once you establish the top perimeter, I would highly recommend also connecting it with the larger part of the Army Bomb just to make sure everything twists okay and that there's no gaps, because I know for me that bothered me just a tiny bit that there were small teeny tiny gaps in between the top part and the bottom part of my Army Bomb. But again, I would just recommend establishing a straight perimeter, and if you had established a straight perimeter on the bottom of the main part of the Army Bomb, it should all connect pretty evenly. These next 2 steps aren't technically part of the bedazzling project, but since I was already customizing my Army Bomb, I thought why not go all the way. So I ordered these light stick decals from Super Cake Co. This company is super nice, they're super affordable, and I got this Bangtan sticker which matched the color of my light stick. There's so many of these light stick decals on Etsy with different groups, different members, different designs, different colors. The the possibilities are honestly endless. I'll leave the one that I specifically bought down in the description box below, but don't feel afraid to shop around Etsy to find the one of your liking. I know a lot of shops also do custom orders as well, so don't be afraid to shoot them a message and ask them to do a specific logo or a specific text. As for decal placement, I decided I want my sticker facing towards me, so on the button side, but just know that since the army bomb is circular and round, your sticker won't go on as smoothly as you'd hope, obviously, but just make sure that the bangtan, or whatever word you have on, is on smooth. Use your finger to apply firm pressure to it because these letters are, you know, space sensitive and you really want them to be firmly attached to the army bomb. Also make sure to apply firm pressure onto like the little stars and sparkles, and for most of the heart-shaped, if you do get heart-shaped, I know there's like arrows, other stuff like that, but just know that we can fix the heart to make it flat later on with a toothpick. After peeling the transfer tape off, you can see your finished decal, but we're going to use a toothpick and actually pick underneath the part of the heart just so that we can lift it up and then flatten it again with our finger to get rid of any bumps. Remember to be super gentle with a toothpick just because you don't want the decal to rip. Now it's time to assemble everything back together, and I gotta tell you, it was so satisfying to look at this all come together, all those hours of hard work. But I wanted to add one more final touch. I went out and got some matching ribbon and attached it as well. I used the black lanyard to measure and I just tied a knot at the bottom, but you can also attach other things like keychains or other colored ribbons, whatever you want to make this the army bomb of your dreams. And here is the final review of my army bomb. Honestly, I freaking love it. It looks amazing, and I need to show someone the tiny details like the BTS logo and the army logo and just all the hours of work that I put into this. Oh my gosh. This looks so pretty and so satisfying. Of course, I would love it even more if I didn't mess up the light stick part with my paint, but from afar, it looks pretty freaking solid to me. So I hope anyone who followed along with this tutorial / video, or anyone who is just curious about army bomb customization, I hope you enjoyed it because this was honestly the longest project of my life, but also the most satisfying. I cannot wait to go on tour with this. So let's go back to the outro. So that was my army bomb customization video. I hope you liked it. It was a lot of footage to work with. I think like 15 hours, and I had to speed up some parts to like 4,000 times. So it was a very long process, but I'm glad you stuck through it. I stuck through it, and we all went through basically the same experience together. So thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to use this light stick when BTS go on tour again. I'm not sure when that will be, but if you see a girl looking like this with a pink bedazzled army bomb, you know who it is. And for those who customize their own army bombs, please, if you posted it on Instagram or Twitter, leave a link down below. I'd love to give it some love. I'd love to see, you know, all the creative stuff that you all came up with. I just really think that, you know, the creative freedom you have with decorating your army bomb is infinite, and just seeing all the people's creations is so inspiring and so freaking cool. We're gonna have fun at this concert, guys, okay? BTS are gonna show up, and we're gonna show up with our decorated army bombs. It'll be the most amazing thing ever. Thank you guys again so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe and that like button for more, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!